The massive Vorthok ships floated silently in the cold darkness of space, far beyond where human telescopes could detect them. Their black holes seemed to bend light around them, making them nearly invisible against the star-filled void. Inside, the largest vessel, Commander the HFY, stood before a wall of glowing screens that showed Earth spinning slowly below. "Report," the HFY commanded, his voice echoing through the metal corridors. Sub-Commander Krell approached, his forearms carrying data tablets while his multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "Sir, we have completed 47 years of observation. The humans are even weaker than we first believed." The HFY nodded, his own eyes focusing on the blue and green planet. "Show me." The screens changed to display cities, armies, and governments. From around Earth, Krell pointed to each image with one of his clawed fingers. "Look at their bodies, Commander. They break easily. One small cut, and they bleed. They cannot see in the dark. They cannot breathe underwater. They live for only a few decades." "And their minds?" the HFY asked. "Worse," Krell replied. "They make decisions based on feelings instead of logic. When they are angry, they do stupid things. When they are sad, they cannot think clearly. When they are afraid, they run away instead of fighting smart." Far below on Earth, in a small laboratory at Seoul National University, Dr. Dae-ho Kim stared at his computer screen with tired eyes. For months, he had been tracking strange signals from space. The patterns were too regular to be natural, too complex to be random. "Dae-ho, you need to sleep," said Dr. Yuna Lee as she entered the lab with 2 cups of coffee. "You have been here for 18 hours. Look at this," Dae-ho said, pointing to the screen. "These electromagnetic waves. They come from the same direction every time. Someone is watching us." Yuna sat down beside him and looked at the data. It could be a satellite malfunction, or maybe solar activity. No, Dae-ho shook his head. "I have checked everything. These signals are artificial. They are scanning us." Back in space, the Vorthok continued their analysis. The HFY walked between the screens, studying human behavior. "Tell me about their politics." "Complete chaos," Krell said with what might have been a smile. "They have almost 200 separate governments. They fight over invisible lines on maps. They cannot agree on anything. Some humans have too much food while others starve, yet they do nothing to fix this." "Perfect," the HFY said. "Divided enemies are weak enemies." The screen showed footage of human conflicts. Wars, protests, arguments in government buildings. The Vorthok had recorded it all. To them, humanity looked like a species that would destroy itself without any outside help. "What about their weapons?" the HFY asked. "Primitive," Krell answered. "They still use chemical explosives. Their fastest ships barely leave their own planet. Their strongest weapons could not even scratch our shields." In his laboratory, Dae-ho was becoming more worried. The signals were getting stronger, which meant whatever was sending them was getting closer. He called his friend Minho Park, who worked for the government. "Minho, I need you to listen to me," Dae-ho said over the phone. "Something is watching Earth from space. I have proof." "Dae-ho, you sound crazy," Minho replied. "Are you sure you are not just seeing things?" "I am a scientist," Dae-ho said firmly. "I know what I am seeing. We need to tell someone important." But who would believe him? And what could humans do even if they did believe? High above, Commander Dexfell was making his final decision. "Their emotional responses are their greatest weakness," he told his officers. "When we attack, they will panic. They will run in different directions. They will not work together." "What if they try to fight back?" asked another officer. Dexfell looked at the screens showing human armies. "With what they think war is about? Being brave and making speeches? They do not understand that war is about cold calculation and perfect planning. Their emotions make them predictable." Vorthok had studied human history. They had watched humans make the same mistakes over and over. Humans would charge into battle while screaming instead of using strategy. They would save one person and risk many others. They would fight harder when they were angry instead of thinking clearly. "How long will the invasion take?" Krell asked. 3 days, Vex, Vel said confidently. "Maybe less. Once their leaders are gone, the rest will surrender. They are too soft to fight a real war. The alien commander did not know that in a small laboratory far below, Dr. Daeho Kim was working through the night trying to understand the signals. Did not know that humans might be weak in body, but strong in spirit. Most importantly, he did not know that sometimes the greatest strength comes from the heart, not the mind. The Vorthok prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory. They had studied humanity for decades and found only weakness. But they had missed something important. They had seen human emotion as a flaw, not knowing it could also be a weapon. The invasion would begin soon. The morning sky above, Seoul was clear and blue until it suddenly wasn't. Massive black ships appeared out of nowhere, so large they blocked out the sun. People on the streets stopped walking and looked up, their mouths hanging open in shock. The ships were bigger than any building, floating silently like dark clouds. Captain Minseok Park was drinking coffee in the Air Force Base when the alarm started screaming. He ran to the window and saw the alien ships hovering over the city. His hand shook as he grabbed his radio. "All pilots to your planes now," he shouted. "This is not a drill." The first alien attack came without warning. Bright blue beams shot down from the ships, hitting the government buildings and military bases. The beams cut through concrete and steel like they were made of paper. Explosions lit up the city as important buildings turned into piles of smoking rubble. Minseo climbed into his fighter jet, knowing his weapons probably couldn't hurt the alien ships, but he had to try. His job was to protect people, even if it meant dying. "Eagle Squadron, this is Eagle Leader," he said into his radio as his plane lifted off. "Probably can't win this fight, but we're going to try anyway. Our job is to keep them busy while people get away." High above in the alien command ship, Commander Thexfell watched the human response on his screens. He expected the humans to surrender immediately. Instead, he saw something that confused him. "Sir," said Subcommander Krell, "the humans are not giving up. They are still fighting." "Of course they are fighting," Thexfell replied, "but they will stop when they realize it's hopeless." But the humans didn't stop. Minseok's jets flew straight at the alien ships, firing everything they had. The missiles bounced off the alien shields like raindrops, but the pilots kept attacking. When one plane was shot down, another took its place. In the streets below, something even stranger was happening. Instead of running away in panic, people were helping each other. So-young Choi was a teacher at an elementary school near the city center. When the attack started, she could have run to safety. Instead, she went back into the burning school building. "Children, stay together," she called out as smoke filled the hallways. "Hold hands and follow me." Led 40 scared students through the dangerous streets, dodging falling debris and fires. A news reporter found her later and asked why she risked her life for the children. "They're my students," she said simply, as if that explained everything. Commander Thexfell watched these scenes on his monitors with growing confusion. Why are they helping each other? They should be thinking only about themselves. Sir Krell reported our computer models predicted they would scatter and hide. Instead, they are working together. In the port city of Busan, dock worker Jae-sung Kim saw the alien ships appear over the water. The port was full of people trying to escape, but there weren't enough buses or trains. Jae-sung looked at the fishing boats tied up at the docks. "Hey," he shouted to his fellow workers, "we can use the boats." None of them were soldiers, but they organized like a military unit. Some workers helped load people onto the boats while others prepared the engines. They moved thousands of people to safety across the water, trip after trip, even as alien ships flew overhead. "They're not acting like our research said they would," Krell told his commander. "When we attack them, they don't break apart. They come together." Dexfell studied the data with his multiple eyes. The human response made no sense. According to everything the Vorthok knew about psychology, humans should be panicking and running in different directions. Instead, they were becoming more organized. In Seoul, firefighter Hyun-woo Lee drove his truck toward a burning hospital instead of away from it. His radio crackled with reports from other emergency workers doing the same thing all over the city. "This is crazy," his partner said. "We should be evacuating, not going toward the danger." "There are people in there," Hyun-woo replied. "We can't leave them." The aliens had expected to see humanity's weakness. Instead, They saw something their computers couldn't understand. A mother carried 3 children that weren't hers to safety. A businessman gave up his seat on the last bus to an elderly woman. Strangers worked together to pull people from collapsed buildings. "Sir," another Vorthok officer reported, "their military losses are heavy, but they keep fighting. Their civilian population is evacuating in an orderly fashion." This is not what we predicted. Dexval stared at the screens, showing human behavior. At every city under attack, the same pattern repeated. Humans were helping other humans, even when it put them in danger. They were choosing to stay and fight instead of running away. "How is this possible?" he muttered. By the end of the first day, the Vorthok had destroyed many important targets. But they had also learned something troubling. Humans became more dangerous when they were cornered, not less. They fought harder when they were scared, not weaker. For the first time in their military history, the Vorthok faced an enemy that didn't behave logically. And that made them very dangerous indeed. 3 weeks had passed since the alien ships first appeared in Earth's skies. The Vorthok had expected to be celebrating victory by now. Instead, Commander Thexville stared at his battle reports with growing frustration. The humans were supposed to be defeated, but they kept fighting in ways that made no sense, deep underground in the city of Daijin. Dr. Hijin Nam worked by candlelight in a hidden laboratory. The basement had once stored rice and vegetables. Now it was filled with stolen alien technology and makeshift computer equipment. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but her mind was sharp. "Look at this," she said to the small group of resistance. Fighters gathered around her table. She pointed to strange glowing devices they had taken from a crashed alien ship. "These machines have patterns. They talk to each other using specific frequencies." Minho Park, a former soldier who now led. The local resistance leaned closer. "What does that mean?" "It means their shields and weapons all work on the same basic system," Hyjin explained. "If we can figure out how to disrupt that system, we might be able to hurt them." Meanwhile, in the destroyed city of Incheon, a different kind of discovery was happening. Sung-Ho Lee was just a mechanic who fixed cars and trucks before the invasion. Now he spent his days taking apart alien machines with simple tools. His small workshop was hidden in the ruins of a shopping mall. "This is interesting," he muttered to himself as he opened up an alien communication device. The inside was beautiful, with perfect circuits and flawless design. But as he studied it more, he realized something important. Captain Park visited him that evening. "What have you found?" "Their technology is too perfect," Sung-Ho said, wiping oil from his hands. "Everything is designed to work exactly one way. If something goes wrong, the whole system stops. They never planned for problems." "What do you mean?" Sunjo held up a small alien component. "Human machines break down sometimes, so we build them with backup systems. If one part fails, another part takes over. But these aliens made their machines so perfect that they never thought about failure." Back in the alien command ship, Commander Thexville was receiving reports that made him angry. "What do you mean they turned construction equipment into weapons?" Sub-Commander Krell showed him video footage. "Sir, they took bulldozers and welded metal plates to them. Then they put weapons on top. They're using them like tanks." "That's impossible," Thexville said. "Construction equipment isn't designed for warfare." "Tell that to the humans, sir. They don't seem to care what things were originally designed for." The footage showed human workers turning ordinary trucks into armored vehicles. They used concrete mixers to carry supplies through dangerous areas, even turned cranes into weapons platforms. None of it made sense to the aliens, but it was working in their communication networks. Thexville asked. "Even worse, sir. Every time we destroy one of their radio stations, 3 more appear. They're using everything to talk to each other. Phone lines, internet cables, even children's walkie-talkies." Sol Young Choi was no longer just a teacher. She had become a messenger, carrying information between different resistance groups. She used her knowledge of the city's subway tunnels to move unseen. When the aliens destroyed the main communication center, she helped connect scattered groups using ham radios operated by elderly hobbyists. "They keep trying to cut off our communications," she told her contact. "But they don't understand that we don't need fancy equipment. We just need to want to talk to each other. Commander Thexvel was learning that human chaos was actually flexibility. When the aliens attacked a human military base, the soldiers didn't fight back the way they were supposed to. Instead, they scattered and regrouped somewhere else. When the aliens tried to protect their own facilities, humans attacked from unexpected directions. They don't follow any logical battle plan, Krell reported. Yesterday, they attacked one of our supply depots using fishing boats. Fishing boats, sir. Our defense systems weren't programmed to expect that. The most frustrating part was that humans kept improvising. They didn't stick to proven strategies. Instead, they tried new things. Constantly. Sometimes these new ideas failed, but sometimes they worked brilliantly in Busan. Dock worker Jae Soon Kim had organized a group that specialized in stealing alien supplies. They didn't use military tactics. Instead, they used their knowledge of the port to sneak around like they were avoiding customs officers. The aliens think like computers, Jae Soon explained to his team. They expect us to do the smart thing, so we do the crazy thing instead. Hey! Dr. Haijin Nam was making progress in her underground laboratory. By studying the patterns in alien communication, she had begun to understand how their systems worked. More importantly, she was learning how to disrupt them. Their perfection is their weakness, she told the resistance leaders. They built everything to work perfectly together. But if we can create enough chaos in their systems, everything might fall apart at once. Commander Thexvel realized that what he thought was human weakness was actually human strength. Their emotions made them unpredictable. Their lack of organization made them hard to target. Their primitive technology was actually more flexible. Than alien perfection, the war was far from over. The sewers beneath Seoul had become a hidden city. In the darkness below the streets, people who had never met before worked together like old friends. Nurse Yunbai Park had turned an abandoned subway station into a medical center. She treated wounded fighters with supplies stolen from destroyed hospitals, while coordinating resistance activities on a radio made from spare parts. We need more antibiotics in Sector 7. She spoke into her headset while bandaging a fighter's arm. Tell the children to be extra careful today. The aliens are patrolling more heavily. Her patient, a former businessman named Jin Woo, winced as she tightened the bandage. Children? You're using children for this? They volunteered, Yunbai replied. And they're better at it than adults. The aliens don't see them as dangerous. Above ground, 16-year-old Taemin Kim moved through the ruined streets like a shadow. He was small for his age, which made him perfect for sneaking past alien patrols. His backpack contained important messages between resistance groups. But to anyone watching, he looked like just another scared kid looking for food. He ducked into an alley as a Vorthok patrol walked by. The aliens were tall and moved stiffly, their multiple eyes scanning for threats. He completely ignored Taemin just as he knew they would. They think we're all the same, he had told his handler earlier. Just weak humans. They don't understand that some of us are more dangerous than others. The resistance had grown in ways the aliens never expected. People who had been enemies before the invasion now worked together. In one hidden base, a North Korean defector shared intelligence with South Korean soldiers. In another, a former gangster helped police officers plan raids on alien supply depots. Engineer Biora Lim had discovered something important about human. Before the invasion, she had worked for a large corporation building factories. Now she used that knowledge to help the resistance in an unexpected way. The aliens think our inefficiency is a weakness. She explained to a group of resistance leaders meeting in an abandoned warehouse. But inefficiency is actually redundancy. When they destroy one thing, we have backups. She showed them a map covered in red dots. Every time they destroy a factory, we rebuild it in 3 different places. Well, they can't keep up with us because we spread everything out. The aliens had expected humans to have central command centers that could be destroyed. Instead, they found a network that worked more like a spider web. Cut one strand, and the others became stronger. Dr. Dae-ho Kim, the scientist who had first detected the alien presence, was now working with researchers from around the world. They communicated through hidden internet connections, sharing discoveries and theories. His underground laboratory in Seoul was connected to similar labs in Tokyo, London, and New York. "I think I understand their weakness," he told his international team during a secret video call. "Their technology is based on quantum mechanics, but it assumes we'll always respond logically." A scientist from MIT nodded on the screen. "So, if we can create enough chaos at the same time." "Exactly," Daeho replied. "Their systems can't handle multiple illogical responses happening at once. It's like trying to solve a math problem where the numbers keep changing randomly." Commander Thesval was discovering that everything the Vorthok knew about warfare was wrong when fighting humans. His tactical computers could predict what a logical species would do, but humans didn't follow logic. They followed their hearts, which made them impossible to predict. Sir Subcommander Krell reported during their daily briefing. "They hit 3 of our supply convoys yesterday using completely different methods. One group used explosives, another used ambush tactics, and the third group somehow convinced our own supplies to explode." "How is that possible?" Thexful demanded. "They're not following any military doctrine we've ever seen," Krell replied. "They make up new strategies every day. Our computers can't keep up with their creativity." Reports kept getting worse. Humans were learning to use captured alien technology faster than the Vorthok could develop countermeasures. They were modifying their own primitive weapons to work against alien shields. Most disturbing of all, they were getting better at working. Together in Busan, former dock worker Jae-Soon Kim had become a master of supply logistics. He organized networks that moved food, medicine, and weapons through the city using routes that changed every day. His team included professors, factory workers, and even some former criminals who knew how to move things without being detected. "The aliens think in straight lines," he explained to his team. "They expect us to take the shortest path between 2 points, so we take the longest path instead." Young Taemin Kim returned from another successful mission carrying information about alien patrol patterns. He found Yunbai Park, treating a wounded fighter who had been shot trying to rescue civilians from an alien detention center. "Any word from the other cities?" the wounded man asked. "It's the same everywhere," Taemin replied. "We're all learning. We're all getting stronger." Commander Vexful stared at his battle reports with growing alarm. For the first time in Vorthok military history, they were losing to what they considered a primitive species. The humans weren't just surviving. They were thriving under pressure. "Sir," Krell said quietly, "perhaps we should consider withdrawal." Dexvel's multiple eyes focused on his subordinate. The idea of retreating from humans was almost unthinkable. But the evidence was clear. They were fighting an enemy that became more dangerous. The more pressure they faced, the morning sky over. Seoul was still gray with smoke when Dr. Hejin Nam made her discovery. She had been working in the underground lab for 3 days without sleep, her hands shaking as she connected the final wires to her makeshift device. "It's so simple," she whispered to herself, staring at the screen. Too simple. Above ground, the Vorthok ships continued their patrol, their blue energy beams sweeping across the empty streets. The aliens had taken control of every major city on Earth within hours of their arrival. Their technology was perfect, their systems flawless. But Dr. Nam had found their weakness. Captain Minseok Park crawled through the rubble of what used to be City Hall. His radio crackled with reports from resistance cells around the world. London had fallen. New York was burning. Moscow was silent. But people were still fighting. "This is Seoul Base," he spoke into his radio. "We have something, Dr. Nam, tell them." Dr. Nam's voice was tired but excited. "Every electronic device we have can send signals. Phones, radios, even simple calculators. The Vorthok use quantum networks. They work perfectly with organized signals. But chaos, chaos breaks them. In the hidden bunkers beneath Busan, families huddled around old radios. In the mountains near Daegu, farmers clutched their smartphones. Across the world, millions of people listened to the same message. At exactly noon, everyone turns on everything. Every device, every signal, all at once. Commander Vexvel stood in his command ship, watching the humans scurry like insects below. His silver suit gleamed under the ship's lights. "They are so primitive," he told his lieutenant Krell. They fight with sticks and stones while we command the stars. Yes, Commander Krell replied, but they do not surrender. They will, Exfil said coldly. All species do, eventually. Young Taemin Kim sat in the basement of his apartment building with his grandmother and 50 other neighbors. He held an old radio in his small hands, the same one his grandfather had used during the war decades ago. His grandmother smiled at him weakly. Will this really work, grandmother? He asked. She touched his face gently. Sometimes, little one, the smallest things can move mountains. Captain Park checked his watch. 5 minutes until noon. Around him the sole resistance. Cell prepared their devices. They had car radios, cell phones, laptop computers, even electronic toys. Some people had tears in their eyes. Others looked grim and determined. Remember, Dr. Nam's voice came through the speakers. This isn't about having the best technology. It's about all of us working together. In London, survivors in the subway tunnels held their phones high. In New York's sewers, people clutched portable radios. Small villages across Africa, families gathered around their single electronic devices. The entire world was ready. Commander Exfil noticed something strange on his screens. Thomas. That interference, he demanded. Unknown, sir, Krell reported. It appears to be random signals, increasing rapidly. The clock struck noon. Across Earth, millions of devices activated at once. Cell phones rang with no calls. Radios played static. Computers sent meaningless data. Electronic toys beeped and flashed. The signals mixed and clashed, creating a wall of electronic chaos that rose from the planet like a storm. On the Vorthok ships, perfect systems began to fail. Navigation computers showed impossible readings. Communication arrays filled with noise. The quantum networks that controlled everything started to collapse under the weight of pure human chaos. Commander Krell shouted over the alarms. Systems are failing. The quantum matrix cannot process the signals. Exfil watched his perfect technology crumble. How is this possible? They are primitives. They're not following any logical pattern, Krell replied, his voice filled with something like wonder. They are using ... hope. In the Soul Bunker, Taemin watched his small radio add its voice to the global symphony of chaos. Around him, people were crying and laughing at the same time. Through the basement windows, they could see the Vorthok. Ships spinning out of control, their blue lights flickering and dying. Dr. Name emerged from her lab, tears streaming down her face. It's working, she whispered. It's actually working. One by one, the alien ships began to retreat. Their perfect systems, designed to handle organized warfare, could not cope with the chaotic creativity of human desperation. The Vorthok fleet, pulled back from Earth's atmosphere, their quantum networks still struggling to understand what had happened. Hours later, as the alien ships disappeared into space, Dr. Daeho Kim found young Taemin sitting on the rubble of a destroyed building. The boy was still holding his radio, though the chaos signal had stopped long ago. Did we really win? Taemin asked. Dr. Kim looked up at the sky where human aircraft were beginning to patrol again. The city was damaged, but people were coming. Out of hiding, children were playing in the streets. Life was returning to normal. We proved something important today, Dr. Kim said, sitting beside the boy. Sometimes the strongest species isn't the one with the best technology. It's the one that never gives up. Taemin smiled and hugged his radio tighter. Around them, Seoul was beginning to rebuild, scarred but unbroken. Having shown the universe that humanity's greatest strength was not in their machines, but in their here.